your nation, your province, your southern Alberta. From the heart of Lethbridge, it's Bridge City News Weekend Edition.
Hello, I'm Naveen Day. Thanks for joining us this Saturday, August the 16th. A meeting between Canada Post and the union representing 55,000 postal workers has been delayed until next week due to the availability of federal mediators, the company says. The two sides, which were set to meet Friday, will now meet on August the 20th. It's been 2 weeks since members of the Canadian Union of Postal Workers rejected the employer's latest offers in a majority vote. After more than a year and a half of negotiations, the two sides met with federal mediators earlier this week before agreeing to meet with each other. Thursday in Saskatchewan, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre took aim at federal zero-emission vehicle sales targets. Under these targets, the federal government has committed to move towards 100% zero-emission vehicle sales by 2035.
Mark Carney's promised to ban your gas truck and car, which a ban that begins phasing in just months from today. It will kill jobs, balloon cost, and grind rural communities to a halt. Farmers, ranchers, resource workers would not be able to do their jobs because EVs don't work over long distances and in cold weather. It would literally erase many small towns from the map. Now, a lot of people will say that is hyperbole, but I asked the farmers here today, could the rural communities across the prairies actually continue to go on if they had to drive exclusively electric vehicles? Could that run on an electric battery? How could you move your grain to markets? How could you do the regular work that's required to have a pickup truck in minus 40-degree weather in February? It is simply not possible. What Mark Carney was doing by banning gas vehicles is he is banning the rural way of life.
Meanwhile, in Alberta, Minister of Environment and Protected Areas Rebecca Schulz echoed Poilievre's sentiments. She added that Albertans purchased over 223,000 new vehicles, all while fewer than 25,000 EVs were produced in Canada that same year. Albertans could purchase every single EV produced in this country, and we still would not be close to meeting this unrealistic plan. Wildfires continue to rage across the country. 3, 2, 1. Wildfires continue to rage across the country. The largest wildfire in Newfoundland and Labrador may have destroyed up to 100 homes and structures. Premier John Hogan says it's too dangerous for crews to access the area along the northeastern shore of Conception Bay and make a comprehensive tally of the damage. Hogan says the Kingston blaze has grown to more than 80 square kilometers. To the west, Kawartha Lakes officials say 2 wildfires continue to blaze in Ontario's cottage country. Provincial officials say there haven't been any changes to the status of the active fires. Meantime, on the West Coast, a special air quality statement is in effect for East Vancouver Island and the Sunshine Coast. Environment Canada says while the smoke was expected earlier in the day, conditions can change rapidly. The BC Wildfire Service says there are more than 80 active wildfires in the province, including one rapidly growing wildfire of note that has forced evacuations on south central Vancouver Island. Now, here at home in Lethbridge, the River Valley fire ban is back into effect due to the current weather conditions, including warmer temperatures and low humidity. The Chief Fire Marshal for Lethbridge Fire and Emergency Services, Troy Hicks, says the change in weather dictates the decision.
I'm not definitely saying that we won't lift it again. You never know. I have been looking at the forecast for the rest of this month. It doesn't look promising, but we will keep an eye on it. We monitor it every day, and if we can take it off, we will. It does involve some work from different departments in the city to do it. So it's not just a snap of the fingers thing and it's done. The majority of fires we have, yes, they are caused by just human error or not paying attention to what you're doing. So if people are down here and they're smoking, things like that, you need to butt out your cigarette. You need to make sure that's out. I always recommend, as you should be anyways for health-wise, when you're walking around, have a bottle of water with you. And if you're walking around and you put your cigarette out, pour water on the butt. Pour water on the ash that you've put out on the ground, and then take it over to a garbage can, make sure it's out, and dispose of it. With this little bit of wind, it would only take a split second, and it would be out of control. One other thing I wanted to make sure that the public understand is this is a River Valley fire ban only. This does not involve your backyard fire pits. In regards to your backyard fire pits, we just need to make sure that everyone reviews the bylaw about open burning in the city and you understand what you're allowed to do.
The River Valley fire ban includes city-owned land, campgrounds, and private property. It prohibits campfires, fire pits, charcoal barbecues, and other outdoor burning in the River Valley. A new Leger poll conducted for the Canadian Taxpayers Federation shows more than half of Canadians think the size and cost of the federal public service should be reduced in the coming years. 54% of respondents want the federal bureaucracy cut, 24% want it maintained, while 4% say it should get bigger.
You know, there's a sentiment among Canadians, and it's pretty much across the country, of the civil service is on the large side and should be reduced. There's another question that was asked in the poll was, you know, they don't feel they're getting, you know, great value in terms of the increase. They don't think the services have gotten that much better. I think as with all these exercises, the devil's in the detail for the government, because it never fails that whatever they sort of indicate we're going to reduce here, there'll be somebody going, wait a minute, why there? So this isn't an easy situation for the federal government, but I think you know, broadly speaking, there is a strong sense in the population that something has to happen.
You know, the cost of the bureaucracy has ballooned since 2016, right? The government added 99,000 extra bureaucrats since 2016, and the cost of taxpayers has gone up extremely high. So that's why we commissioned this poll. And you know, the poll shows that Canadians know that they're paying for too many federal paper pushers and that they want the government to cut the size and cost of the bureaucracy. But the poll also shows that Canadians don't think they're getting value from the ballooning bureaucracy. So, you know, Prime Minister Mark Carney, he should listen to Canadians, and he should make the government's bureaucracy more affordable for taxpayers.
Well, Prime Minister Mark Carney promised during the election campaign to cap, not cut, the size of the public service. Most departments and agencies have since been asked to find program spending cuts of up to 15% by 2028 to 29. Thursday morning, outside a Calgary gas station, the Canadian Taxpayers Federation released its 27th annual Gas Tax Honesty Report. CTF Alberta Director Chris Sims says while Albertans are paying more for gas than our neighbours to the east, there is some good news.
We still would like to see the Alberta fuel tax reduced so that we're beating Manitoba and we have the lowest fuel taxes in Canada. But the good news story is this is so much lower than it was this time last year. And that's because we've gotten rid of the consumer carbon tax. It's remarkable. Most folks will notice that if they do the math in their head and think back to last summer, gas prices are about 20 cents cheaper per liter on average. That's because the carbon tax is gone. It's truly a remarkable achievement for everyday working people.
Sims says filling up a minivan with gasoline in Alberta now costs $21 in total taxes, while filling up a pickup truck costs about $33 in total taxes. The pro-separatist Alberta Prosperity Project did not get what it wanted Thursday in an Edmonton courtroom. Court of King's Bench Justice Colin Feasby ruled the group's proposed referendum question on separation will have a full constitutional hearing. Feasby denied the APP's request to quash the review. The question being proposed asks, do you agree that the province of Alberta shall become a sovereign country and cease to be a province in Canada? While the Prosperity Project feels the question is clear and obvious, Feasby disagreed.
We're going through a process where everybody's going to get to have their say, which isn't a bad thing. So, you know, we're going to move forward, and it'll give us a lot more opportunity to continue to talk to our fellow Albertans about the benefits of independence, how much better off Albertans are going to be without having to pay federal income tax, GST, carbon tax, etc. How much better off Albertans are going to be without being subject to federal regulation, and all the benefits of independence that nobody on the other side of this question seems capable of speaking to, other than we should all be nostalgic nostalgic, for a country that doesn't invoke the Emergencies Act on protesters and tramples little old Indigenous women with riot horses when people come to Ottawa to protest government policy.
The judge, in his wisdom, will be selecting who the interveners are. We, as Forever Canadian, as a group now that has probably hundreds of thousands of signatures by now, hard to tell how many we have, we would like to intervene on behalf of Albertans. And present the judge with our perspective, why it is that most Albertans don't want to separate from Canada, and not only for emotional reasons, but for very pragmatic and charter reasons.
I wasn't surprised with the outcome, because if I was surprised, I'd be more surprised if they ruled against it. But this is the Canadian Constitution, which we're enshrined in it.
The case will be back in courts in November. American worship pastor and songwriter Sean Feucht will continue his Revive in 25 Canadian tour August the 20th in Winnipeg. The city pulled his permits to perform at Central Park following the lead of other Canadian cities that have done the same. But as he has in those cities, Feucht will find another venue and the worship will continue. Feucht spoke with the hosts of Miracle Channel's Citizen about the pushback he's faced on the latest Canadian tour.
We wanted to take kind of this revival train, start on the very East Coast in the Eastern Gate, and go all the way across the nation, which is insane, because it's a big country. Yes. And so it's a lot of different time zones, a lot of regulations. Of course, you got the tariff situation, you got expenses, logistics. And so we secured 11 permits at what I think are some of the most iconic venues outdoors across Canada. Not having any inkling that we would have the controversy that we've stepped into. So I share that with you, so people understand that I have a long history of coming up there with no issues, no controversy, no problems, largely received. And for whatever reason this year, man, the enemy hated it.
You can catch that full interview online on the Miracle Channel YouTube channel. There's more to come from around southern Alberta, so stay with us. Welcome back. Here's more what's happening. The NDP MLA for the riding of Lethbridge West is expressing concern over the province's plan to redraw electoral boundaries. The Alberta Electoral Boundaries Commission is currently reviewing the provincial electoral districts, as it is required to do so every 2 general election cycles. But Rob Miyashiro is accusing Lethbridge East UCP MLA Nathan Neudorf, who is also Minister of Affordability and Utilities, of gerrymandering.
Minister Neudorf barely won in 2023. The NDP has taken Lethbridge West 3 consecutive elections and a by-election, and I think this is a cynical ploy just to enable the UCP to win Lethbridge and the surrounding rural areas. The one for the north east corner of Lethbridge would run all the way to the Trans-Canada Highway. Right? And so you look at that and you're thinking, well, how does that make any sense for representation for people in the city of Lethbridge? And conversely, is if you're living in Gleason and your MLA lives in Lethbridge, how would that provide the appropriate representation for those people?
Miyashiro says splitting Lethbridge into multiple rural-urban ridings would almost guarantee that urban voters' voices are drowned out by rural majorities, making certain those urban votes count for less. The Electoral Boundaries Commission is expected to provide an initial report to the Legislative Assembly by October of 2025. A major step forward for Fort Macleod, Stage 1A of the Highway 3 realignment is in motion. Alberta's Transportation Minister says the project will boost local development and strengthen a key economic corridor in the province's south. RBCN's Heidi Echeverria has the details.
Transportation and Economic Corridors Minister Devin Dreschen announced the long-awaited realignment of Highway 3, Stage 1A in Fort Macleod.
There's been lots of advocacy to realign this so that obviously you can open up more industrial land and commercial land here in Fort Macleod. So there's obviously the local benefits of having a smarter alignment on 1A. And then obviously it goes into the province's overall strategy of twinning Highway 3 and really opening up this major food economic corridor in southern Alberta with so much irrigation land and agri-food businesses coming to southern Alberta. The alignment here would pull both lanes of traffic farther to the south and then opening up the land that's on the north side for more commercial development and industrial development in the future.
Local MLA also highlighted the broader impact of the project, not just on transportation, but on community safety and future growth.
Through this realignment, there's going to be an increased safety for the residents in this area, and then along with that, an increase in potential development for this highway. So as we twin it, as we twinned Highway 3 and we start to see Fort Macleod as such an important economic hub for this area.
The one thing that you see when you're coming into Fort Macleod, you're going up the hill, your Highway 2 is merging out, so you're going down the 70, taking a turn, merging back into Highway 2 and then hitting the railroad track. So that's the thing that we wanted to avoid, better visibility. There's a pedestrian crossing right across the railroad track, which has had a number of close calls, even with pedestrians crossing to go to the grocery store. So this will help just provide greater clarity and visibility on the highway.
The engineering of the works is already underway, while construction is expected to begin in the spring of next year. For Bridge City News, I'm Heidi Echavarria.
The city of Lethbridge says despite a major crash last Wednesday involving Whoop-Up Drive Bridge, it is still safe for motorists. On August the 6th, a semi-truck driver hauling heavy equipment made a wrong turn into Indian Battle Park and proceeded under the Whoop-Up Bridge overpass, striking the bridge, damaging 4 of the bridge's 6 steel girders. The Director of Infrastructure Services, Joel Sanchez, says some of Canada's top bridge experts have looked at the damage and determined the bridge is safe.
The Scenic Drive northbound lane ramp will be closed starting tomorrow at noon. That will help us to manage some of the traffic going into Whoop-Up Drive. The lane will be reduced or closed to reduce traffic and also to help with the transit services. We have seen a delay on transit services due to all the congestion on Whoop-Up Drive, and these measures will help to alleviate some of those. When you look at the Whoop-Up Drive, it's comprised of 6 girdles. 4 of them were actually damaged during the incident in August 6th. Number 1 is damaged but remains safe for motorists. That's the one that is heading westbound on Whoop-Up Drive. That's currently open and will remain open. We are monitoring that on a daily basis. Number 2 and 3 are damaged, and the repair is being planned as we speak. We have people just doing the design in order to see what we need to do. Number 4 is the one that sustained the most damage. Number 4 is the far lane heading eastbound. That lane will be closed for some time while we still need to assess the repairs and the maintenance that we need to do on that. Number 5 and 6, those are the 2 lanes that are open going eastbound. Those 2 are open, will be open for the remaining. Those girdles were not affected.
I completely understand, and we've heard loud and clear the frustration by motorists, especially those that live and commute to and from the west side on a daily basis. I heard times of 2 hours plus, etc. And we have a city council. I apologize for the time that takes. However, we want to make sure that the bridge is safe. It's the most important part.
The driver of the semi-truck has been charged with failing to ascertain sufficient space for movement. Additional charges are pending. Lethbridge police have located and arrested a woman wanted in connection with the abuse of her 1-year-old son. Back in February, police issued an arrest warrant for 43-year-old Delia Terry Joy Gray. Police say back in May of last year, a 1-year-old boy was brought to Chinook Regional Hospital with life-threatening injuries. The toddler was later transported to a children's hospital in critical condition. Because of the suspicious nature of the injuries, police were contacted. Following a lengthy investigation, police determined the toddler sustained significant blunt force trauma and other injuries while he was in the care of his mother. The latest update from police is that Delia Terry Joy Gray has now been located and arrested. Their investigation is ongoing. The child has since been discharged from hospital and is continuing to recover in the care of relatives. Alberta Open Farm Days is a collaborative, province-wide two-day event that gives Albertans an opportunity to experience the farm and understand where their food comes from. However, in this next story, we learn there's a lot more to southern Alberta farming than just fruits and vegetables.
While southern Alberta is famous for being Canada's produce basket, there's much more to see, eat, drink, and smell. And over the weekend, Alberta Open Farm Days will showcase some of these in a fun, engaging, and meaningful manner to participants of all ages. First up for the adults, a little gem of a winery is open for business. Their product is made from Haskap berries rather than the usual grapes.
Haskaps are very high in antioxidants, very high in anti-inflammatory properties, and we thought making a wine with this berry would be a natural progression. Our wine is not typical fruit wine, it's very dry. We have one that's done in stainless steel, one that's done in oak, so one is very light and bright and one is very full-bodied. We want to bring people here to recognize that farming can be a little different in Alberta, and we can do wine in Alberta versus growing a typical crop. The Haskap berries are very hardy. They're able to survive the Alberta winters. We want to show people how we make wine. You don't have to go to the Okanagan to get wine. You can come to southern Alberta and get wine.
And while life is short, there's always time to stop and smell the flowers, and you'll be able to do just that just outside of Coaldale at the Lilac Row. Charlene Collins shares more about this family-owned business.
The Lilac Row is a third-generation family farm, and as part of our farm, we have a flower farm where we do agritourism events, we do U-Picks, we do wedding services, and also all kinds of other florals. We were actually approached by Open Farm Days as part of kind of a province-wide initiative to try and get more farms involved in the project. And once we heard about it, we really, their message just really resonated with us, because we think it's so important to be able to connect people with agriculture in a meaningful, approachable way.
There are many other farms to choose from, and you can see the full list of participating farms at albertaopenfarmdays.ca. But if you plan on visiting Little Gem Winery or the Lilac Row, here's what you can expect to experience.
We are going to be here from 10 till 4, and during that period we'll be doing tours every hour on the hour. So we will take you through our gardens and our fields, so you can kind of get to see everything that we're growing and how we're growing it. And then we will have bouquets for purchase, we'll have activities for the kids, and people will be able to ask us their gardening questions as well. So it should just be kind of a fun, casual, well-rounded experience.
We'll be handing out some free Haskap ice cream, because we want everyone to be able to taste it, taste the Haskap berries as well. We will be doing a tour where we'll walk you through the orchard, so you can see what they look like, where they are, and how lush green they are. Also, a tour through the winery so that you can see how wine is made. Noon, 1:30, and 3 o'clock, we'll be offering those tours. And during the tour, you'll get to taste a little bit of our wine as well.
Alberta Open Farm Days runs August 16th and 17th. For Bridge City News, I'm Naveen Day.
You know, every year, thousands of senior citizens are abused, neglected, or financially exploited. This mistreatment is called elder abuse. Marissa Hardy with Lethbridge Elder Abuse Response Network will share about this important issue and how we can recognize signs of elder abuse. Stay with us to learn more. And if you're watching us online, that full interview is available on our YouTube channel.